Good evening. I hope you can hear me. I'll make this short just in case you can't, because I am not going to be able to do a test run at 1:17 a.m. But I just want to check in with you, um, share with you some things that are on my heart, and send lots of love, lots of peace, lots of joy, lots of abundance. Is there such a thing as lots of abundance? Uh, Anyway, I want to share with you as I am on my journey. Also, look at this. Boom, right there. What in the world is this? A lot of you know I'm targeted, right? A lot of us are targeted in this United States of America, the land. Yes, I am not a thing of a corporation. So we'll talk about that another time. I'll remind people the US of A and the US Corporation Company, these are not one and the same, okay? So, I domicile at United States of North America. My mama's mama was from here. My mama's mama is from here, as far as I know of. No matter what box I've ever checked in the future or what box I don't check, because I don't check any boxes, right? What race am I? I'm of the human race, and I don't like being targeted. And this does not look like a bug bite to me. It's not raised. It's not swollen. I think it's just a burn. I think it's just a drone. And I think that the Section 706 targeting is unconstitutional. And based on the overturn of the Chevron deference, that is not acceptable to have these programs that are non-constitutional, unconstitutional. And we, as a people, whether you call yourself more Aboriginal, uh, if you call yourself American Indian, a black person, a black people, whatever you call yourself, you have lineage here, you have an estate here. Even if you call yourself none of these things, you are, if you are, know you are a people, right? Then, and even if you don't know, you have the right to be treated humanely. I'm just saying, it is after April 6th. Uh, we have had our eclipses. We are in the age of Aquarius. Those who walk in fear, fear not, just do right. Fear not, do right. So I'm going to share with you tonight the importance of reading a contract. I mean, just for the fact that it's called a contract. They're not usually, well, sometimes they call them agreements, but much times in commerce today, I'm finding we're coming across straight up contracts. Cons to take us off of our track of love, of joy, of peace, unconditional love, right? There are many things I want to share with you. Some of them come so fast, it's hard to keep up. However, I am committed to doing such as long as I have air in my lungs. And what I want to talk to you tonight is just that. When we, here in North America, sometimes things happen all over the world sometimes. But you know what? The North American system, when it comes to healthcare, at the foundation, the way it was originally designed is wonderful. The way it was originally designed, even as far as the licenses, I have no problem with someone getting a license. But where we have an cheat or a degradation of our rights, then that's a problem. And it could be better if we would get our minds onto what is correct. So I decided to take a loved one. A loved one got injured, a trip and fall, that's not good, right? And I decided to take a loved one to the hospital. Now, why was I reluctant to do that? Well, Some have said, and it makes sense, that there is such thing as the sick care system. That's what is much around is the sick care system versus the healthcare system. When you look at the statistics and the numbers and some of the practices that we've come into that allow for the morbidity and mortality rate to be what it is, you have to maybe just sometimes call it just that, the sick care system. All right. But for emergencies, I don't have anything like an MRI machine or a CAT scan machine in the back corner. I can just roll out, and it's better to be safe than sorry, especially when someone is asking for a certain amount of assurance, right? We want to listen to other people, even though we might know the numbers and we might have a feeling everything is okay. Sometimes it's good to give people the assurances that they need in order to stand and feel comfortable. Okay, so tonight I went to assist someone. It wasn't tonight, it was actually this afternoon, and it made it into tonight. Now, mind you, if someone has a bruise, when you're at home, you at least know to put ice on it. Yes, you put ice on a bruise for the first 24 to 48 hours. And then some people alternate hot and cold, right? Or I don't know, some people stick to ice a little bit longer, What the masses are told is not always what it is, right? From having friends that are athletes and that sort of thing. So it's ice. It's ice until the swelling goes down. And then, like I said, hot and cold as something is healing over time. But anyway, so we go to emergency room where there's no ice packs, I guess. But the people were so kind, right? So caring and loving. And they were patient with me as I took time to read the contract. Because you go in these situations and for those who might be older and don't have the support, or those who are the educated illiterate, or maybe the uneducated illiterate, we get into problems when we do not read. So just some of the things that stood out for me, and I'm grateful for the knowledge, for the teaching that has been shared amongst many others who are learning to stand and claim their birthright of joy, claim their birthright of peace and freedom and love unconditionally, the birthright of compassion. This is our birthright, freedom. Freedom is our birthright. Okay. So on the left and on the right, there are always those who are trying to take away our freedom. And the ones who present the contracts to us, they're never the ones who are trying to take away our freedom. No, they just merely need a source of income. Okay. So no sense getting mad at the messenger when they don't know. Just ask for their patience as you take your time and know that you're the source of the energy, right? If people never went into a hospital or a business of any other sort or whatever, then their energy would not be there. Or patronize an online company, then your energy, if your energy is not there, they cannot survive, right? So it's okay to take your time and say, hey, I claim this right to know what's going on in my life. I claim this responsibility to learn how to read contracts. Right now, I'm talking about the healthcare contract, but I'm talking about all contracts. If you get to a word you're not sure of it, you know what? You can go to Black's Law Dictionary. I like the 4th edition. Of course, there are many others. There's Cambridge, and some people criticize the Black's Law, but it helps me understand really what's going on, the foundation of what's going on. So, but when you learn to read and then you reread some of the other holy books and scriptures that we have, your eyes will open up to a whole new perspective. All right. So reading, being responsible for myself, right? And for someone else, reading a contract and know if something doesn't look right, just exit out. They're bound to give you service depending on what it is. So the contract tonight, it said something like, first of all, me wanting to be live on the private side If I want to live on the private side, then I'm going to learn how to privately bank. I'm going to learn how to just get in the world, get along in the world better. And it's a process, particularly when you are one of those who are subjected to that section 706 targeting that about 2,500 people at the United States of North America are subjected to. And for me, it's against my will. I do not agree. It affects every area of your life when it comes to your computers and your ability to get the work, the job done. Therefore, it's going to affect your reputation a couple ways. You're not always effective in doing the things you set out to do, although your heart is there. There is a team of people that is there to sabotage what you do. I mean, this is not always the case. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, so whatever. So, but in the heart of targeting, this is what happens. It's unbelievable how the environment is poisoned socially. And I don't mean a chemical, I mean social conditioning that people are under, that they're not aware that they're under. It would be unbelievable, except for I've experienced it myself. So, Tuskegee ain't got nothing on that. Right? I also reject it because, and I know that the universe is shifting toward moving away from it too, right? Even just the Chevron difference. So somebody comes in secret, makes a complaint about you, then behind your back, no due process, they put you on a list, a criminal list, in which case it affects your ability to even be in the system in honor, right? Because your mail gets moved around, lies are told about you, your devices that you do work on are sabotaged, where you can't move data around or maybe even call a ride share like you would want, or it's just so many things. And then your health gets attacked, right? This is nothing compared to what has been done to me, but nothing. If this is a worse, I wouldn't even say anything. But read about it, read about it, read about it. Okay, so I go the contract. Here's some things that just stood out for me that I'm like, do people know how important it is to read? Because many of us are contracting away our rights. We're contracting away our rights, and we don't want to do that. Okay, so one of the things that stood out for me is it tells you straight there, like, we're a teaching hospital, and okay, that's fine. You're a teaching hospital, no problem. But they're asking permission, and many of you are giving it to them because you don't read. So you give us permission to keep your blood, your specimen, your samples for research. Do you agree to that? Me, I'm a naturalist, and I don't agree. And historically, we know that people's biological information has been misused. Now, whether it's good or bad, the Annie Lax case, that doesn't, whether it be good or bad, maybe there's a lot of good that came out of that research. What didn't come out of that research is the knowledge that a whole food plant-based diet, particularly, well, I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but look it up. There are many people where they were given a death sentence, and then they come back and they use herbs and natural healing and proper stress reduction techniques and that sort of thing. And then they end up where their cancer, they might be cancer free, or it might be the case where the cancer doesn't progress and they're still alive to testify and talk about it, right? So all that research didn't produce that information. Not that research anyway, So, but anyway, a lot of research has been done with the anti-lax cells. Look that up and know that what you're signing to. I'm not saying she signed to that, but nowadays what they do is they put in contracts ridiculous things. But because you don't read it, you sign away your rights. And so when they come back to hurt you, you're thinking, oh, look how they took advantage of me. Maybe they did. And how did they do that? They did that because maybe you weren't informed that there is a silent war going on, and part of it is to take away your rights and take away the fruit of your energy, which would be through monies. I would just say it like that. There is such thing as Nasara Chisara, so it might be a good thing to look that up to recognize the times we're in. It's not all gloom and doom, okay? But however, there are psychopaths in the world. So just because it's not gloom and doom doesn't mean that we don't have to step carefully at people who are afraid of the people awakening. All right. I want to sing for you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, baby. But we ain't going to get into that too much. That was a good song. Okay. So that was part of the contract. What did I do? I just drew a line through the part that asked me if I wanted to donate my physical materials, or, well, I'm signing on the behalf of someone else who experienced the trauma, right? So with that, no, I don't give permission for their biological materials to be saved for research. Because what kind of research? Just medical research or technology research, because there is a move toward transhumanism, which is not in line with those of us who are naturalists. If I have a pain or a problem, I'm going to likely take turmeric and ginger over something that God did not make. The God that I know, the little God, good, order, the great spirit, the is many ways to call the name of goodness and the name of like the creator, if you give it a name. Yahuwah, Allah. I don't criticize anyone's connection to the Most High, okay? Because life is too short and it does no good to do that, all right? The purpose that that's done is not a good purpose at all. All right. So if you see something that you don't understand all the possible negative repercussions, you do have the right as a man or a woman to put an X through it. Now, mind you, I'm coming in on the private side. So even though there was some insurance, however, I don't have to use the insurance. I can learn to offset and discharge debt. And by the way, why would I agree to someone who does not have a contract with me, who is not offering services to me? Why would I agree to pay them 25% if the bill mysteriously went into collections? Now, how could it go into collections? Maybe the mail could be rediverted, like has happened to me many, many times, right? Maybe they did not properly send the mail out when you would have thought that they would have sent it out, or invoiced you or charged you. It could be any number of reasons. And I don't agree to let someone charge my estate, my energy, 25%. So again, why would I sign something like that? Well, if I had signed something like that, and in the past I have signed something like that, it's because I did not know the importance of reading, and maybe didn't even know how to read. All right. Because the way some folks are using the word judgment is very loose. All right. So we want to know, just giving an example here. No, I don't agree to pay someone who is hired to turn my estate over to another. I don't agree to pay them 25%. How about that? Right? I don't agree to have my loved one's blood or urine or whatever used for any research purposes after the fact. You can dispose of that properly. Thank you very much. Okay. Another thing that I would, if I contracted it away, it's because, like I said, I didn't know how to read. And I didn't recognize that there are those in high places who are there to set traps for you to go down if you so choose to, and I choose not to. So I was very grateful that I had a receptionist who was just very patient with me while I read, because we must read. And guess what? On the intake, no, I don't agree to surgery on an eval. If I've come for evaluation, then no, I don't agree to surgery. Because guess what? If you find something that ain't right, you can come right back around. And I bet you, if the evidence is supporting in the physical and like in the documentation that is presented, and prayer and understanding over standing, then I will sign at that time. Until that time, no. Because why would I say such a thing? Having been close to someone who's been a victim of these research programs that people are lured into at the local public hospitals, at the teaching hospitals, right? It Once you go through something like that, you see a loved one go through something like that, you learn how to be careful. You be careful that you don't be sorry. Be careful so that you don't be sorry. Let your loved one sit in a bedpan, or have to pull their own bedpan, or fall and not be reported to the caregiver, or be misdiagnosed. And after learning that in child welfare, and maybe even in the hospital setting, that records are changed to then present to the doctor someone's record that is different than the patient they're really helping. But we're gonna be all right. See, that's three things. That's the 25% I don't agree to. That's the no, you cannot use my biological material. And that's the no, I'm not going to come in the door and give you permission to do surgery on me. And no, I'm not a U.S. citizen. I put it on the memo line. No, I don't qualify for these benefits. So we will handle this bill honorably. We will discharge and offset it honorably, right? And so it's important that I put on the paper that we are nationals, not U.S. citizens. And what else did I learn today? I tried to acquire a number for one of the trusts that I've created and established. And I was asked this question: what is your American Social Security number? See, Americans don't have Social Security numbers. U.S. citizens have Social Security numbers. Americans don't. Someone can debate me. If they do have one that is still associated to their estate, that makes sense. They have that, right? And so, and it's going to be associated to the state until you change the status of the estate and the securities are liquidated into or transferred into another vehicle, right? This is the honorable thing anyway. I hope that this is what's really happening. I won't get into why I say that. But what I will get into and stay on until you truly understand is the importance of reading on this North American continent. The North American continent is just that. It's a nation of nations. It's a nation of nations. And if you look on the Secretary of State website, you learn that. So statutorily, based on my estate, I would be a New Jerseyan. But that doesn't say anything about my bloodline lineage. And me wanting to really connect more with that, it's important that when we go into the public, into different settings, that we say who we are in that setting. Now, you can put whatever label you want. It doesn't make my bloodline lineage change, right? You can call me black. I'm not telling you to call me black, but you could call me black. You could call me African American. You could call me all sorts of things. You can call me Caucasian. You could call me white, yellow, purple, green. You can call me those things. It doesn't change my bloodline lineage and responsibility to share with you some things. Now, I would say I was very pleased about something that happened tonight. I sat across from a police officer. I'll call him a police officer. Some people don't like the policy enforcers being called that. They enforce the statutes and the codes and the fines that are imposed upon persons, not people, persons. Now, mind you, I'm a people. I'm one of we the people. And so, how can I say? I'm just very aware of jurisdiction. So, I wanted to know, because I know that there's some policy enforcers who are not. I'm surprised. I think it's a culture, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the people. It's dangerous for the policy enforcers to not know the law. So I asked the officer who was sitting there in the emergency room, I asked him, what do you know about what constitutes a lawful arrest? And he actually told me, and he was actually correct. And I'll tell you what that is in a second. But he said that in academy, we're trained that it's, how can I say how they're trained? That unless they saw someone do something, like they cannot arrest them. So for instance, if someone called them and said, hey, my name is Jane and Peter just hit me, then they would do a report and it would go to the commissioner, because unless Peter is actively attacking Jane, then they cannot do a report based on what they saw and had firsthand knowledge of. Okay. And I said, that is wonderful, actually, that you know that. And so I know that the county police or policy enforcers, that they're not trained with the truth. Okay. Because some of them have gone on the record to give affidavit to secondhand knowledge. How can you give an affidavit to secondhand knowledge? I think it makes the affidavit null and void, because it's not written by anyone credible if they would do such thing. Okay. Anyway, in a certain county where I domicile on the land, they don't know what a lawful arrest is. And what I would like to do is to have a punitive damages fund for those who want to learn what to do. Because other than that, you just end up suing them for doing you wrong, and they just do it wrong again because they weren't trained right. And then they actually become a little bit delusional. But delusion is a permanent, fixed, false belief. So I want to dispel all delusions. All right. I want to spell it on you that you will be free from all delusions. What's a delusion? That you see somebody riding down a street in their automobile and they have their headlights off, and that it's okay for you to stop them and tax them by way of a fine, search their car, tell them they are not free to go. That's unlawful imprisonment. And then think that you're going to tell them that unless they, do a certain thing, I'm not going to get all up in it, that they're wrong. I'm not going to get up in it. But what a false imprisonment is, and I will cover this, is when someone is detained against their will and there is no warrant and there is no affidavit in support of that warrant that was served. All right. So being it's late, I'm not going to be able to really get into all the details of it. but it's just to put on your in your sphere of knowledge. Hosea 4:6 talks about knowledge, right? To make this in your sphere of awareness that there is a severe problem at the United States of North America, Amarak. The problem is that many of the arrests are not lawful, and we are wanting to be a lawful people. We're wanting to not increase the debt. We're wanting to be secure in our homes and our papers. All right. So here's a lawful arrest. Sally calls 911 and said, Johnny just did XYZ to me, and that's terrible. Johnny's standing right there, and he's just like, no, that's not the way it happened. Right? It would be appropriate to separate them and to have Sally do an affidavit, and the affidavit would then go to the commissioner, and then the commissioner would then decide if it's probable cause to bring, did I say his name is Johnny? To bring Johnny in. And then there's a whole nother set of things that are to happen. But it's not, unless he's in imminent danger or something like that, which he could be, but unless he's in imminent danger, then it's not okay to just arrest someone on sight. Why? Because people lie. People lie. And you cannot undo the harm that is done when you're detaining someone wrongfully. All right. So it's important that the enforcers follow the Constitution. The Constitution is bound by the treaties, the Treaty of Marrakesh, the Treaty of Tripoli. The mislabeled African Americans are excuse me. So we are mislabeled, and in law, we're not actually in our proper status as 14th Amendment citizens, right? So America and the USA, well, the US and America is not the same. Okay, one is trust, the other is corporate, and it's just not the same. And when we claim our rights, we need to do so in the private, which I'm learning to do, and I want to share. But just in the meantime, before you get to this perfect state of being private, right? By the time you get to the state where you know how to read a contract, I just want to accelerate that for you a little bit and let you know you're not alone. You're not alone in teaching this to others. You're not alone in trying to figure out what is going wrong, where it's thing after thing, crisis after crisis, right? We've contracted away our rights in many cases, and we're going to stop doing that. And we're going to accept the abundance, and we're going to accept moon energy, money flowing back to us. We're going to accept the gold. We're going to accept the silver. I do not accept my silver being stolen from me while I was wrongfully in prison. And before we talk about the matter, we're going to challenge the jurisdiction, right? We're going to challenge their right to do something against the Constitution of the United States of America, which is also an instrument that I stand over and that protects my rights. It doesn't give me my rights. God gave me my rights. God gave me my rights, but I am going to stand over the instruments and the agreements that are there. Now, yeah, many people say, oh, that's not for us. Well, it's going to be for me. It's going to be for me because it's not okay to not be safe in your own land. All right. And it's not okay for me to abandon my birthright. I don't abandon. And I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged to encourage you. I appreciate the learning. Look on the back of the form. See who it is that you need to complain to. And then ask, do I need to complain or do I need to wage a little more formal understanding of what is correct way to treat me? And when we do this and when we share with others, it really makes a difference. So the policy enforcer, he told me, no, we're trained to know what a lawful arrest is, and you can sue if you've been arrested unlawfully. It was so refreshing to hear somebody like tell the truth, which I already knew, but it was refreshing to hear it. All right. So what we need to do is to create opportunities where people who are doing right are celebrated. Where people who are doing right are celebrated, and then people who are not doing right, they are punished. That's what makes sense. That's what works in human behavior. Bonus somebody who's doing well. Bonus them. But we've kind of meshed together some ideas, and I can talk about that with you specifically later. But peace, love, joy, read, and protect yourself. If you're not safe, what do you have? What can you do when you're not safe? Nothing really matters when you're not safe. So get safe, be love, be light. Love and gratitude are the highest vibrations. So I send that to you earnestly, peacefully.